Well, that didn't end well. That didn't end well. Episode 7 of Arknight's Preluded On did not end too happy. Pretty much Amiya's first blood. I don't know. I don't know what she's done in the past, but it obviously is indicating that this is the first time she's ever taken somebody out. And obviously I'm already feeling a little frustrated because this is that typical sort of issue in the idea that this thing is going to take out a lot of people, spill a lot of blood. She stopped it, but yet she's going to be seen as the bad guy. Misha's going to see Amiya as the bad guy. Obviously, Amiya has instilled upon them that Rhodes Island doesn't harm anybody, doesn't kill anybody, and yet Amiya just killed somebody. And not only just anybody, but Alex, somebody that Misha knew from her past. And again, there's my frustration. Like, did Misha not see Alex going towards a bunch of people ready to blow up? And literally Amiya stopped him? I mean, he's going to die anyways. But yet, again, that's not what Misha's going to see. That's not what everybody's going to see. All they're going to see is Amiya kill somebody. It's frustrating. Honestly, I really don't get this idea. I really don't understand this idea. And I understand that Doctor and a lot of other people are going to see that as logical. I have no doubts. I have no doubts that somebody like Shin would see that and go, you did the right thing. Obviously. But again, there's going to be a lot of people conflicted by the idea that, again, Rhodes Island is supposed to kill anybody, and she literally just did. Now, I would argue I don't see how they could have done all the stuff they've done so far and not one person has died. I mean, some people, they're going to be pushing so hard and be so unwilling to stop that that's the only option in the end, and that's the struggle that you have with the idea of trying to be neutral and be a group that doesn't take lives. There's always going to be that moment that you just cannot not do that. There's always going to be somebody that's so radical, especially in the reunion, so radical that they will not stop until they've breathed their last breath. But no, I think somebody was hearing me last episode and my complaints about no cat girl medic, and so they decided to give me a medic, but it wasn't cat girl, it was like a mouse girl. I'll take it. I'll take a mouse girl medic. I don't know. But no, a really good episode. I think the main thing that I really loved about this episode, besides like the end being very, very heavy, and like I said, the whole battle between the two sides, it was just a big, huge, grandiose battle. But the cool thing that was in this episode was obviously seeing the perspective of a reunion member. I think this is the first time throughout the entire series that we've gotten an actual explanation as to the mindset of a reunion. And we'll get into that as we get to that point. But now we open up the episode and Misha just wakes up inside this room. She's now in the custody of the reunion, and a reunion member comes in. She immediately panics. And he's like, oh, I've heard so much about you, Misha, from Skull Shatterer. And that's when Skull Shatterer comes in. He's like, hey, see you later. And yes, Skull Shatterer reveals that it is in fact Alex. And Misha immediately is happy. Alex, you're alive. But no, what we find out is that apparently a long time ago, Misha knew Alex. And at some point, Alex became infected. And not only did a group of people or government or whatever pulled him out of his home and dragged him away, but it was also his father. Even his own father turned him in. And the only person that stood up against the group was his mother. And it costed his mother's life. But after all that happened, apparently Alex completely gave up his name. Said, no, Alex no longer exists. Alex died that day. I am now Skull Shatterer and I am a part of the reunion. And a good portion of this episode is Skull Shatterer trying to get Misha to understand that reunion is the answer. And of course, Misha's conflicted because she just got done spending time with Rhodes Island and Amiya, and she's seen firsthand, despite what Alex believes, she's seen firsthand that the Rhodes Island are good people. Every fight they've been together in, Rhodes Island did not take lives. On the opposite end, Rhodes Reunion is taking lives, taking innocent lives. Anybody that doesn't answer the call or listen to what the reunion says to do will be taken out. Now here's a really cool touch. Like I love noticing these very small details. You have this back and forth between Misha and Skull Shatterer, or Alex. I'm gonna call him Alex from now on because I keep changing it. Again, on Misha's side, she's saying that the reunion's bad. They're taking innocent lives. Even those that just don't even listen to them, they're cruel. But from Alex's side, he's saying specifically, no, the reunion is enlightened. Along with the reunion, Alex is seeking to fight against the cruel world. A world that turned their backs on the infected. That even the innocent, the ones that are looking away as the government is doing this, they're also a part of it. Everybody that chose not to help is a part of it. Again, paralleling his own incident where he was dragged out in the snow by his father and these men, and the only one that stood up was his mother. And even Misha's upset about this, apologizing that she didn't do anything. He's like, no, it's okay, you were a child, but now we're older. Now we can do something with reunion. Everyone, government, citizens, those that are not infected, all treat the infected like vermin. Again, you can't blame the reunion in this respect. Because they've been treated like something that should be discarded or taken out, what other options they have? I do like, again, I want to emphasize, I do like whenever I don't agree with what they do, but that I understand why a group does what they do. And even though Misha's trying to make Alex understand, no, Rhodes Island is different. Rhodes Island is good. They helped her. It seems if Alex, or maybe the reunion themselves, believe that Rhodes Islands are traitors. They still side with the powerful. I mean, technically they are right now working with Lungmen, so it's easy for them to see that they are traitors. And even though Misha's saying they don't harm anybody, Alex still believes that Rhodes Island won't be able to change anything. That only reunion has the power to do that. And this is what I was talking about. This is the cool thing that I noticed, is you see that Skull Shatterer Alex is getting really excited. And he's talking about how great reunion is, how powerful they are. He sounds like a fanatic. And it's interesting because even though earlier Misha called him Alex because she now knows his identity, and Skull Shatterer had to correct her saying, Alex is dead, I am now Skull Shatterer. Now as he's getting fanatical, what does Misha call him? Skull Shatterer. She doesn't call him Alex. And I thought that was a nice little touch. This isn't Alex anymore. This isn't who I knew. Yeah, for a brief moment, we see pretty much everybody trying to search for Misha. Eventually, Penguin spots them as... I like how that was exactly what Amiya knew. Amiya knew that they would find them. Penguin eventually finds them. And it makes sense that nobody was able to find them because they're at an Erignium quarry, so obviously anybody would not go near that. And as they're calling it in, we have a brief moment where Skull Shatterer and Misha, they go over to do some training. And it's interesting because Skull Shatterer shows her how it works. He uses this gun, it shoots away, and explodes. And the explosion is actually arts. And then he has Misha try it. And you can sort of see like the wind around her feet shifting. And it creates this massive explosion. So it's obviously indicating that Misha, probably because of the state of her infection, is really powerful. I don't know if that's going to come into play later on, but it does scare me after everything that's kind of happened at the end of this episode. But then yes, Rhodes Island shows up and Skull Shatterer is super angry. Despite the fact that everybody's like, you know, look, we should just flee. It's like, no, we're taking him out now. And yes, even Misha tries to stop Skull Shatterer. Look, if we just talk to Amiya, she'll understand. And yet again, Skull Shatterer's not going to have it. Rhodes Islands are traitors. And it's interesting because, again, we have this shift happen in what Misha sees the person before her. We finally found each other. I thought you would understand. Even if you don't trust reunion, at least trust me. And as Misha begs for him to come back alive, again, she calls him Alex. Again, I like that because you can see as that personality of Alex versus Shatterer is changing, Misha's seeing him differently. And yes, we have the return of W as W shows up to offer some help to Skull Shatterer. And we get that twisted side of W. I mean, we haven't seen W, well, we've seen W last episode as she attacked and got Misha, but the first interaction we really had with W and Doctor in the, what was it, the third episode? We got an indication that W doesn't like the Doctor, but she does know who the Doctor is. So again, it's kind of implying this idea that there's a possibility that either W knew the Doctor before they were part of these organizations, or possibly the Doctor was a part of Reunion, and so she really hates him now that he's changed sides, possibly? I don't know. I don't know how any other way that W would know who the Doctor is. Of course, I don't know that W is technically a part of the Reunion. It seems as if the units that W has aren't Reunion. I mean, yes, we've seen her in the third episode with some Reunion with her, but there was a lot of Reunion there. But specifically, she's offering up her own units in this episode, and they were these huge bulking dudes with these huge swords, and they were casting arts. They didn't look like Reunions. They weren't dressed like Reunions, so I don't know that W is actually a part of Reunion. So maybe they're past knowing each other. Maybe W worked for Rhodes Island at some point. I don't know. But anyways, we're indicating that she doesn't like him. She's really mad at him, and so she says to Skull Shatterer specifically, take him out. He's the commander. If you take him out, everything else will scatter. And again, offering up her own units to make it happen. But yeah, the fight breaks out. Everybody's fighting each other. At some point, Skull Shatterer goes straight towards Doctor. And again, W's units start to go into the fray. Even W joins the fray. Some more great moments of the Shield Girls. I just love the scenes of the Shield Girls. They always do the cool stuff. Like Liz Scarm, she's going out there with her shield and blocking everything and firing from behind. And again, yes, Hoshiguma protecting the doctor and fighting off Skull Shatter. Just looks really cool. But yes, eventually Skull Shatter just goes crazy, grabs onto one of his grenades and runs straight towards the doctor, looking to just take him out with him as well. Seemingly going into the idea that at this point, Skull Shatter has chosen to be Alex. Alex wanting to protect Misha. That Rhodes Island is not the option. That they're against the reunion and the reunion is the only option. He wants Misha to be with the reunion and not to get captured by Rhodes Island. And yes, Amiya seeing this goes crazy, Powers goes nuts, and these crazy little beams just shoot right through Alex. And typical with this trope, she had no idea what happened. She didn't control it, it just worked on its own. I don't know if that'll be a story beat later on, but Amiya has taken her first life, and I don't think that's going to go well. Obviously, having Misha see this is not going to go well. Misha's obviously not going to trust Rhodes Island going forward because, again, she doesn't see that Skull Shatter was literally going to take out a bunch of people, including themselves, and Amiya just took down the one. But additionally, I'm curious how this will even affect the majority of Rhodes Island. Again, they're seeing now that their leader, their commander, has done something that they themselves don't do. They're not for taking lives, even the reunion themselves. And Amiya has just worked against that. I don't even know if it's a policy. It could possibly be this idea that try not to. I don't know if it's a golden rule of Rhodes Island, you do not take lives. But I think for the majority of these people, they're going to understand. I don't think these people are going to suddenly criminalize Amiya for doing this. But it does make you wonder, does this affect Rhodes Island as a whole? Obviously, it affects their perspective because now even all the reunion in the area will now see, they're not like what you said. They do take lives. But we'll see. We'll see the aftermath. Obviously, we're going to get it in the next episode, which is the last episode, which really sucks. It dawned on me today. I'm like, oh crap, next week is it. Like next week is it. That's it. That's all of Arknights Prelude Dawn. And I haven't seen anything on a sequel, which I hope so. I've been really enjoying the show, and I really do hope that they get a sequel. Just overall, love the world building. Now, granted, a lot of the world building has been sort of tapering off. It feels like things are cooling down in that department, but we're getting a lot of characters in this last few segments. And obviously building up the story around Misha and the conflict between choosing Rhodes Island or Reunion. But again, I really do want this to continue on. I really do hope that we get another sequel, but we'll see. We'll see. That's my thoughts on Arknights Episode 7. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you did, make sure to hit that like button down below, comment, let me know what you thought of the episode. As per usual, keep the spoilers in check. Additionally, if you're new to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you get all my content. I do news, reviews, first impressions, top list. If it's anime, it's pretty much here. Additionally, if you want to support the channel more, we have a Patreon link, a tips link, and a super thanks button down below. Greatly appreciate everybody that supports the channel, and y'all take care.